On that chilly afternoon, the delivery man stood at the doorstep of an old woman's house, feeling as though he was there for more than just a simple package drop-off. The box he held was light, but his gaze lingered on the face of the 85-year-old woman who answered the door. Her skin was lined with the deep creases of time, yet her eyes sparkled with the curiosity and mystery of a much younger girl. She opened the door slowly, as if she had anticipated his arrival. Her slender fingers gripped the edge of the door, and with a trembling voice, she said, "Just leave the package, dear." "Thank you." The delivery man smiled, but he had no intention of leaving just yet. The warm, inviting scent of freshly baked cookies wafted from inside, drawing him in. Noticing his glance, the woman smiled softly and opened the door wider. "Come in, you must be cold," she urged. The interior of the house was cozy and welcoming. An old wood stove crackled, filling the space with warmth, while a clock on the wall ticked steadily, marking the passage of time. He slipped off his shoes and stepped inside, his heart racing slightly with the unexpected invitation. The woman offered him a plate filled with steaming cookies. "Have some," she insisted. "A young man like you needs energy." He took a bite, and the taste transported him back to his childhood, evoking memories of home and comfort. For a moment, silence enveloped them, broken only by the gentle popping of the stove. As he looked at her, he noticed an unusual warmth in her gaze. She held his gaze, not shying away. As the minutes passed, their conversation deepened. She spoke of her youth, sharing stories of her strength and the hard work she had done in her small town. He found himself opening up about his own struggles, the lonely nights, and the relentless hustle of his life. They both carried the weight of solitude on their shoulders. Unconsciously, he found himself studying her hands. Yes, they were old, but there was an elegance and warmth to them. She noticed his attention and didn't pull her hands away. Instead, she began to play with her fingers on the table, drawing his focus further. "You meet so many people every day," she said softly. "But you still feel lonely, don't you?" He took a deep breath. "Yes," he admitted. "Sometimes I feel completely alone, even in a crowd." She nodded knowingly. "Loneliness is a hard thing, dear. But sometimes, it's possible to share that loneliness." Her words shifted the atmosphere in the room. He felt his heart race. Despite her age, there was a magnetic pull in her eyes that captivated him. Time seemed to stand still. In the glow of the stove, their faces appeared closer, more intimate. She leaned in slightly, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I see something in your eyes that I lost many years ago." He was at a loss for words, but deep down, he understood that this moment was anything but an ordinary delivery. It felt as if fate had brought him to her door. Her voice softened further. "Don't leave just yet. Stay a little longer." In that instant, he felt a decision solidifying in his heart. The delivery man moved his chair closer, the silence in the room blending with the howling wind outside, creating an oddly comforting symphony. The warmth of the fire created a serene atmosphere in the small living room. The elderly woman, keeping her gaze fixed on the young delivery man, moved towards the stove to add a few logs. As she bent down, her cardigan slipped slightly off her shoulder, revealing a glimpse of her frail but graceful figure. Corey, the delivery man, felt a strange pull that kept him from looking away. Something about her presence was magnetic, and he found himself captivated. The woman noticed his gaze and turned to him, her eyes searching his. "Are you tired?" she asked gently. "You've been running around all day, haven't you?" Corey sighed, feeling the weight of her words. "I am tired. But this place, it feels different. It's warm, like the memories of my childhood." She nodded slowly, understanding the unspoken history that lingered in the air. This house has seen a lot. People have come and gone, some have been missed, and others have been longed for. But now, someone has arrived. Her words hung between them, creating an invisible bridge that connected their souls. As she settled back at the table, a glimmer sparkled in her eyes, a light that defied her years. You know, ever since you came here, feelings I thought were long forgotten have started to awaken within me, she confessed. Corey lifted his gaze, unable to dismiss the weight of her words. Perhaps this meeting is not just a coincidence, she added, a knowing smile gracing her lips. Her smile was not just a simple gesture, it held compassion, longing, and a hint of playfulness. Perhaps it isn't, she replied, then suddenly pressed a button on an old radio. Soft, melodic strains of traditional music filled the room, wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. The melody danced through the corners of the house as the woman rose gracefully. I used to dance a lot, she said, her voice tinged with nostalgia. Now my body has grown heavy, but my spirit still longs to dance. Corey, surprised yet intrigued, hesitated before asking, would you like to dance now? His voice was tentative, almost shy. The woman tilted her head, a smile playing on her lips. If you join me, why not? He approached her slowly, feeling the warmth radiating from her hands as he took them in his. For the first time, he realized how warm an elderly hand could feel. His fingers trembled for a moment, but she encouraged him with a gentle smile. Relax, I'll catch your rhythm, she assured him, and they began to sway together. The old melody seemed to transport them through time, allowing them to communicate without words. The woman rested her head on Corey's shoulder, and he initially hesitated, but then closed his eyes, surrendering to the music. His heart raced, feeling the rhythm resonate through him, especially as her hair brushed against his cheek. Minutes melted away as they danced, lost in a wordless story that unfolded between them. As the music faded, the woman pulled back slightly but didn't let go of his hands. Maybe it's not too late for some things, she whispered, her voice soft yet filled with meaning. Corey stepped a little closer, feeling the gravity of the moment. Maybe it's just the right time, he replied, his voice low. The woman lowered her gaze, revealing a hint of vulnerability. There were things I never had the courage to do in my youth. I always worried about what others would think. But now, there's no one left. Her words carried a weight of loneliness, yet they also felt like an invitation. Corey reached out, his hand hovering near her cheek, not quite touching but close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her skin. He leaned in, drawn by an invisible force, but just as he did, a pot lid clattered to the floor in the kitchen, breaking the spell between them. The silence hung in the air, thick and palpable. Corey felt a flutter of uncertainty. Did we go too far? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The woman shook her head gently. No, but I don't want to go back, she replied, her tone steady and resolute. Corey absorbed her words, realizing that it was not just age that mattered, but time itself. They had no way of knowing how much time lay ahead of them, but in that moment they were no longer alone. The woman turned toward the kitchen. Would you like some more cookies? I can make you a warm glass of milk to go with them, she offered, her voice warm and inviting. Corey nodded, a smile creeping onto his face. I would, but maybe one day I'll come just for the cookies, he teased lightly. She didn't turn around but replied, maybe I'll be waiting for you bright and early that day. As a new song began to play softly on the radio, Corey realized that this woman was not just an elderly lady, she was a love that time had forgotten. The night had grown late, and he knew he should head home, yet he found himself unable to rise. An invisible thread seemed to bind him to that cozy living room, holding him in place. The woman's hand was steady as she offered him the glass of warm milk. There was a determination in her demeanor. In her eyes, he saw not the weight of years but the burden of moments never lived. "If you leave now, will you come back?" she asked, her voice low but clear. Corey didn't answer immediately. He gazed into her eyes, searching for meaning. This wasn't just a question of return, it was a plea for connection. "I'm free tomorrow evening," he finally said. "But this time I won't be bringing a package." A smile broke across her face, and it was as if the lines on her forehead softened with it. "Then I'll prepare something special for you, but it won't be cookies," she replied playfully, tilting her head. "What will you make?" he asked, intrigued. "It's a surprise, but don't worry, you won't go hungry," she assured him, her eyes sparkling with mischief. As he stood at the threshold of the door, the cool night air seeped in, but the warmth from the woman lingered on his skin. "Good night, dear," she said softly. Corey paused, then turned back to her. "My name is Corey. I'm not just a delivery guy anymore." She nodded, her expression thoughtful. "And I'm not just an old woman anymore." That night, for the first time, Corey left a place with his gaze not on the door but on the spirit he was leaving behind. The next evening at 7, Corey walked the same path, but this time his hands were empty. No box in his grasp, no bag slung over his shoulder, just a heart that felt heavier yet somehow lighter. When he knocked on the door, Nevin was already there, opening it without even parting the curtains. "Come in, don't let the cold in," she said, her voice warm and welcoming. Corey stepped inside, feeling more at ease this time. He slipped off his shoes and hung up his jacket. The house felt transformed. A white tablecloth adorned the dining table, with a candle flickering in the center and soft music playing in the background. "Dinner is ready. But first, can we talk a bit?" Nevin suggested, her eyes meeting his with sincerity. As they settled into their chairs, Nevin spoke before Corey could ask anything. "In my youth, I always waited for someone to understand me, to touch me. But everyone saw me as a strong woman. You might still see me that way. But sometimes, being strong is a necessity." Corey listened intently, his heart swelling with empathy. "There's still a woman inside me," she continued, her voice softening. "One who wants to be held, to laugh, to feel warmth." Corey lowered his head, reaching out to take her hand in his. "I can see that," he said gently. "And I don't see you just as an old woman." Nevin's eyes sparkled with gratitude, and in that moment, they both understood that they were no longer defined by their pasts but by the possibilities of their shared present. Corey sat on the couch, his heart racing as he absorbed Nevin's words. "You're not joking with me, are you?" he asked, searching her face for a hint of insincerity. "No, I'm not ashamed of you. I'm not ashamed of myself either. Maybe it's madness, but something inside me tells me I'm meant to be here." Nevin stood up slowly, moving to a nearby bookshelf. She pulled out an old photo album, its cover worn and faded. As she flipped it open, a picture of a young woman with long black hair and a radiant smile illuminated the page. "This was me," she said softly, her gaze lingering on the image. Corey leaned closer, studying the photograph. "You still look like her," he replied, his voice filled with warmth. "Time may have cast a shadow, but your light hasn't dimmed." Nevin paused, her expression thoughtful. "People get used to appearances. I've aged. My body has slowed down. My vision is a bit blurry, but my heart still sees clearly. It's my heart that's making the decisions right now." She moved to the kitchen, returning with a steaming pot of hearty stew and freshly baked bread. As Corey took his first bite, tears welled in his eyes. "No one has cooked for me like this since my mom," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. Maybe this meeting is to fill that void. Perhaps some gaps can only be filled by another. After dinner, Nevin stoked the fire, the flames crackling softly in the cozy room. She settled closer to Corey, her hands chilled. "My hands are a bit cold," she said. "I need to warm them." Corey looked at her, the silence between them filled with unspoken understanding. "I can warm them," he offered, his voice low. They sat together, the only sound the gentle rhythm of their hearts beating in unison. Then Nevin broke the silence. "I haven't trusted anyone in a long time, but there's no lie in your eyes." Corey remained quiet, absorbing her words. She reached out, her fingers brushing through his hair, slow and deliberate. "You can stay here if you want to sleep," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Corey lifted his head, surprised. "Is that really okay?" "It is. This house is big and warm," she assured him, her gaze steady. "You just need to rest. What happens next will unfold in time. But know this, I've opened my door." That night, two lonely souls from different generations sat together by the fire. Their touches were innocent, their words few, yet the air was thick with tension, each glance pulling them closer. Corey gently rested his head on Nevin's lap, and she ran her fingers through his hair. "Close your eyes," she murmured. "Tonight, my heart will rest alongside yours." As Corey's eyes fluttered shut, Nevin's voice echoed in his mind. "I am no longer just a part of the past. I am a piece of the future." As dawn approached, Nevin stirred awake on the couch beside the fire. Corey was still asleep on the floor, wrapped in a thin blanket, his head resting on her old knitted pillow, a peaceful expression on his face. She watched him for a moment, trying to comprehend how this young man had entered her life so swiftly and why she felt more like a woman beside him than she had in years. But perhaps understanding wasn't necessary. Some things were meant to be lived, not analyzed. She rose and moved to the kitchen, preparing 2 delicate cups of tea. The aroma of freshly baked bagels filled the air, but this morning felt different. There was a flutter of anxiety, a restlessness within her. Last night, Corey's phone had received a message. Nevin had seen it quietly. "Where are you? You were gone all night. I was worried." Corey woke up to the soft glow of the morning sun filtering through the curtains. He blinked a few times, trying to shake off the remnants of sleep. As he sat up, he noticed Nevin in the kitchen, her silhouette framed by the light. She was stirring a pot, the rich aroma of coffee wafting through the air, mingling with the scent of freshly baked bagels. "Good morning," she said, her voice warm and inviting. "Morning," he replied, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. "What are you cooking?" "Just some breakfast." "I thought we could use a good start to the day," she smiled, glancing over her shoulder. Corey felt a flutter in his chest. It was strange how comfortable he felt around her, how easy it was to slip into this routine. He stood up, stretching his arms above his head, and walked over to the counter where she was working. "Need any help?" he asked, leaning against the counter. "No, I've got it," she replied, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "But you could set the table." "Sure thing," he said, grabbing plates and utensils, trying to ignore the way his heart raced when she looked at him like that. As they sat down to eat, the conversation flowed easily between them. They talked about everything and nothing, movies they loved, books they were reading, and the little quirks of life that made them laugh. Nevin's laughter was like music, and Corey found himself captivated by her stories, the way her eyes lit up when she spoke passionately about something. But as they finished their meal, a shadow crossed Nevin's face. She glanced at her phone, the message from the night before still lingering in the air between them. Corey, about that message I saw last night, she began, her voice faltering slightly. He tensed, knowing what she was referring to. It was from my ex, he admitted, his gaze dropping to the table. We broke up, but she still reaches out sometimes. Nevin's expression softened, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. Does she still have a place in your life? No, he said firmly, meeting her gaze. That chapter is closed. I'm here now, with you. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and Corey felt a pang of guilt. I don't want to be just a temporary escape for you, she said quietly. You're young, and you have your whole life ahead of you. Corey shook his head, moving closer to her. Nevin, you're not just an escape. You've become real to me in a way I didn't think was possible. Age doesn't matter, it's the connection we have that counts. Just then, a knock at the door interrupted the moment. Nevin's heart raced as she exchanged a glance with Corey. Who could that be? I'll check, he said, standing up and heading toward the door. When he opened it, he was met by a tall woman with striking features, her eyes narrowing as they locked onto Corey. There you are, she said, her voice laced with irritation. I've been looking for you all night. Corey's stomach dropped as he recognized her. What are you doing here, Jenna? Nevin watched from the kitchen, her heart pounding. Was this the woman from the message? Seriously, Corey? You're with her? Jenna's voice was incredulous, her eyes darting between them. Yes, I am, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. We're together now. Jenna scoffed, crossing her arms. You're dating an older woman? Are you serious? Corey felt a surge of anger. It's not just about age, Jenna. It's about who I want to be with. Jenna's expression hardened. You're making a mistake. You don't know what you're getting into. Maybe I do, he shot back, feeling Nevin's presence behind him, a silent support. With a frustrated huff, Jenna turned on her heel and stormed off, leaving a tense silence in her wake. Corey closed the door and turned to Nevin, who looked pale. I'm sorry you had to see that, he said, his voice low. I didn't expect her to show up, Nevin replied, her hands trembling slightly. I don't want to be a burden to you. You're not, he insisted, stepping closer. I want to be with you, Nevin. I don't care what anyone else thinks. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and she quickly wiped them away. But what if people judge us? What if they don't understand? Corey took her hands in his, grounding her. Let them talk. What matters is how we feel about each other. I want to be with you, no matter what. Nevin's heart swelled at his words, and she felt a warmth spread through her. I want that too, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Then let's not hide, he said, determination in his eyes. Let's go out together, just like this. In public. Her breath caught in her throat. Really? You're sure? Absolutely, he replied, his confidence infectious. I've never been more sure about anything in my life. With a nod, Nevin felt a rush of excitement mixed with fear. Okay, let's do it. They spent the rest of the day preparing for their outing, each moment filled with anticipation. Nevin dressed carefully, choosing a flowing teal dress that accentuated her figure, paired with simple silver earrings that caught the light. Corey opted for a casual but stylish look, a fitted navy shirt and dark jeans that highlighted his youthful energy. As they stepped out into the bustling streets of Portland, the world felt different. They walked side by side, hands brushing occasionally, sending sparks of electricity through the air. People glanced their way, some whispering, but Corey and Nevin only had eyes for each other. See? It's not so bad, he said, grinning as they passed a cafe. Not bad at all, she replied, her heart racing. They stopped at a local market, the vibrant colors of fruits and vegetables surrounding them. Nevin felt alive, her laughter mingling with the sounds of the market. Corey picked out some fresh strawberries, handing them to her with a playful smile. Here, these are for you, he said, his eyes twinkling. Thank you, she said, her cheeks flushing. As they wandered through the stalls, they shared stories and laughter, the world around them fading away. For the first time in years, Nevin felt beautiful, not just as a woman but as someone cherished. Days turned into weeks, and their bond deepened. They spent evenings cooking together, sharing books, and watching movies, each moment weaving them closer. One evening, as they sat on the couch, Corey pulled out a small box from his pocket, his expression serious. Nevin, I know this might seem odd, but I want to give you this, he said, opening the box to reveal a delicate silver ring. I know we're not at that point yet, but you've become my family. I want you to know how much you mean to me. Tears filled Nevin's eyes as she took the ring, overwhelmed by emotion. Corey, this is beautiful. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, he replied, his voice soft. Just know that my heart is yours, now and always. In that moment, the clock in Nevin's home seemed to tick in a new rhythm, each chime marking a fresh beginning. Their love, once hidden, now flourished openly, proving that some connections transcend age and societal expectations. As the seasons changed, so did their lives, filled with laughter, love, and a shared understanding that some hearts are meant to beat in harmony, regardless of the years that separate them. Subscribe to the channel,